Good morning. Welcome to WEBT, WHCR Emergency Broadcast. New York and Beyond, a broadcast about emergency preparedness, has been created and brought to you by WEBT, the WHCR Emergency Broadcast Team, which airs every Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and is hosted by veteran emergency preparedness activists. I'm here with my co-host. I'm not here with my co-host, Carol Johnson, today because she has had to take a few weeks off. But I am here with our executive producer, Stuart Reid. And we will, by the way, I'm Joetta Brown, one of the emergency preparedness activists. My background is in CERT, Community Emergency Response Training. And you will hear less of me and more of our guests. And we have a wonderful guest for you this morning, Amjad. Amjad, I'm going to ask you to say your whole name so I will get it correctly.
It's Amjad Mujaahid.
Amjad Mujaahid. And you've been introduced to him once, and you will be introduced to him about 3 times during this broadcast, because at one point we will let him speak a minute, and then we'll take a little break, and then we'll come back. The 2025 preparedness theme is Preparedness Starts at Home. Focuses on returning to the essentials of preparedness. Emergencies can happen anywhere, often without warning. So it is important to have plans and supplies ready for the places you and your household visit regularly. Planning ahead ensures that you will know what to do and have the resources you need to stay safe, whether at home, work, or in your community. Now, remember, planning ahead, and if you plan ahead, you also practice, because if you plan and practice, you will be ready and you don't have to get ready. Briefly, this week, starting Saturday, the nation is going to experience the loss of SNAP, food stamp benefits. That is going to impact, in New York, 1 in 3 people. Nationwide, 1 in 8 people. It's going to be a massive loss of benefits. On 10/29, here in the Bronx, multiple individuals were found unresponsive on a subway platform on the number 6 line, which caused a medical emergency for those people, and medical units were sent to the site of the incident. There are communities that are raising funds in the wake of lost benefits. That's just a little bit of items that are in the news. And each day, there is some kind of incident that people are not prepared for. But in your head, if you have made a plan, then you can enter into and exit that emergency with just about everything intact, and know that there are emergency units available that will come to your assistance. Remember, our program is New York and Beyond. It has been created and brought to you by WEBT, the WHCR Emergency Broadcast Team at 90.3 FM, which airs every Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay. And again, I'm Joetta Brown, and my co-host is Carol Johnson, and our executive producer is Stuart Reid. Our guest, Amjad, brings a wealth of information to us, and he's going to talk to you about who he is. He's going to tell us about being a veterans advocate, a community organizer, an emergency preparedness promoter, and in what he does in health and public service. I'm going to let you know beforehand that this is not the only time that he's going to be on, and we've informed him of this. So he's going to be a regular guest on our show. Amjad, tell us about yourself.
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here, and this is a special, moment for me to be able to communicate at this level and through this venue that you so graciously provided to help to get the word out and help to provide food for thought for people as we start to move into a new challenging season for us when it comes to food resources as well as other health and human services, needs in the city. I'm, as Ms. Joetta stated, community activist, veteran advocate, and I've been working in public in public service for over 30 years at various stages as a frontline worker, and also working in public policy, working on food security, public policy, as well as doing lobbying down in DC for recovery resources after 9/11, and for New York City to recover and become more resilient. In addition to being able to work with various nonprofit organizations here to develop new guidelines over the years in terms of application, redevelopment for people to get access to benefits that they need and eligible for, and to minimize the barriers of access. Most recently, working, during the COVID epidemic here in the Bronx, assisting community partners in developing what is called COADs. Many of you might already know. COAD is an acronym, COAD, and that stands for Community Organizations Active During Disasters. I was honored to be a part of the beginning stages of that here in the Bronx, where we was able to establish the first ever COAD in the Bronx before COVID, which came online during COVID and was instrumental for the Bronx to turn the corner and bounce back from this epidemic in terms of providing food resources and other supplies where needed, first aid, masks, hygiene, COVID kits, the whole nine. And we was able to partner with corporations to provide the first COVID shots that was being offered to assist people, to help to fight back from, getting sick. We learned a lot from that. We learned a lot from the gaps in services and logistics and things of this nature. And so with the COADs, we wanted to develop the necessary logistics and support to fill in those gaps and to work with like-minded people throughout the Bronx so that we can be in a better position to fight against not only the viruses, but whatever man-made or natural disaster that may come our way. Is there anything else you would like for me to talk about?
Of course. You mentioned food resources, health and human services, security. I know that when we did our pre-conversation, you talked about the awareness of changes. And as of Saturday, many people are going to lose their SNAP benefits or their food stamps. Can you tell us what your thoughts are on the loss of those benefits? How is it going to affect people, and how can people be aware? I'm sure they're aware because the government certainly has sent out letters informing them. But okay, so I have several weeks to prepare for this loss. How do I start thinking about this loss? How do I prepare for this loss? How do I stock my cabinets for this loss? How do I uh, make meals?
Well, the first response I would say, once we heard the news, everybody was in kind of shock who receives food stamps and other, services. And, it'll take you a minute to readjust. Well, the thing that I would say first and foremost is do not operate in fear. You want to be able to assess the situation as it is and start looking at how can I prepare myself and my family and who can I work with in the community to deal with this crisis, right? Now, this has been planned for quite some time, and a lot of people ignored it, think that the government will step in and work something out. And what we got now is a government shutdown. People wasn't that was the wild card, right? So now we
Yes.
find ourselves in a position similar to, but not yet quite like in late 60s, 70s, and 80s, where a lot of resources wasn't available, and people had to come together to make things work in order to survive, thrive, and be able to sustain and stabilize the community. One of them things was, yes, the food pantries, soup kitchens, but the community garden. That was a focus point in our communities back then, and I will say even now. It might not be it'd be underutilized now, but I think that's going to change in the near future. The community gardens is the primary place where we can feed each other. We get to know each other, our neighbors. How many of us today know our neighbors? Do we have a conversation with them? How many of us have a plan for emergencies for yourself, first and foremost, your families, right? And do you know where community resources at in the community where you can go to get help to get through whatever crisis it is? Do you have a form of communications outside of your cell phone? What if the cell towers go down, right? What if the landlines are not operational? How would you communicate? And do you have a network of people that you can communicate with to find out, one, the latest information, and two, where to get help from? So these are a variety of things that, I would recommend people to think about, start finding resources. And one of the things I like to say is that, check out YouTube University, right? There's a
Oh,
lot
oh,
of
oh, oh, YouTube University.
there's a
Woo!
there's a lot of great resources and information that you can tap into from all around the country, even around the world, regarding emergency preparedness, regarding alternative forms of communication, how to set it up without breaking your bank, right? How to get
Yeah.
supplies for your house, short term and long term. With a variety of different resources. In addition to that, we have New York City emergency management. And if you want to find out information locally, they have a variety of different PDF downloads that you can tap into, teach you how to take care of yourself if you're a senior citizen, if you have pets during an emergency, how to build a go bag, all kind of necessary information to get started. So you don't have to feel overwhelmed and be in a state of fear, because that's all the media is pushing right now.
Okay.
Getting people in the frenzy, and you have to,
That's
you have to put a pause on that. you know, you
okay.
know,
You mentioned community gardens. What if I don't want to go out to a community garden, or I can't get to the community garden um, as often as I'd like? Is there any way that I can do a windowsill garden and grow some herbs, or grow some greens, or tell us a little bit
absolutely.
about that?
I mean, if you have the window space, or fire escape like back in the day we used to do, and grow vegetables right there on the fire escape, by all means, you go to your local nursery, or like Home Depot sells seeds. I recommend heirloom seeds, which is the original seeds and not the GMO seeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to YouTube University, you can learn about aquaponics and how to set up a self-contained grow system in your house. Okay, that can get you a great yield of fruits and vegetables in small spaces. And you
Okay.
can learn about that. And a lot of it doesn't, again, you don't have to break the bank to do this. And with aquaponics, with people with fish tanks at home, they can use that to help feed the garden, from their waste and whatnot. They're fertilized with the phosphates and the other nutrients to grow vegetables. And it's a self-contained system. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about uh, having your own food source, which is critical, not just in emergencies, but to help cut down the cost of your food bills. The more we grow our own, the more independence you have, the more resiliency you have, you know?
I hope people are taking advantage of this and listening and will go to YouTube University. Not only that, but for those far and near, you can also go to the botanical gardens.
Absolutely.
A wonderful resource because you can see the things in place that they're doing. If you go to the greenhouse, there are people there who will show you what to do and how to do it. And Botanical Gardens also has a program for gardeners to teach you
Yes.
how to garden.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just wanted to interject. That is so important what we're talking about right now. Not only does it provide a way for us to sustain ourselves, but also it's healthy food. It's organically grown. It can be pesticide free. I live up here in New Rochelle in the Black community, and we have several community farms that we've developed over the last 10
Mm.
years or so. And, I've learned a lot from my wife who runs it. And, the food is so much more healthy and nourishing when you grow it yourself. And when you go right from the garden or farm to the table, it's incredible. The taste as well as the nutrition is so much better for us. One of the things that we're starting to do, I've been doing it for about 2 years, we have a vegetable truck and we bring produce to the community. We go to housing developments, to senior centers, and other locations and bring fresh produce. So, I'm not unique. Well, maybe we are a little bit unique, but I'm sure there are other community farms and gardens that are doing the same thing. So, again, like Amjad said, do some searching around on YouTube and in your community and find the community gardens and the community farms in your community and hook up with them, volunteer with them, and become a part of that effort. And that will help you learn about healthy eating, healthy farming, and I think that's a fantastic idea to grow your own stuff in your own home. You don't have to have a backyard. You don't have to have land. If you just have a windowsill, a fire escape, you can do it. So that's just so important. I just wanted to throw that out there.
And also, they have the new technology where people can have the grow towers
That's right.
that you can have in your home so
Mm-hmm.
that you can grow food all year round.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's an easy setup. And, it's something that I encourage people to look into. They have more affordable grow towers out now. I'm not sure if Home Depot has them also, but you can find them online. And
Mm-hmm.
again, research YouTube University because they talk about extensively grow towers and how people can benefit from them. Actually, restaurants in Manhattan and some here in the Bronx, they have grow towers on the roof of the building where they have their restaurants. So
Mm-hmm.
they grow their own fresh produce to
Mm-hmm.
serve, in their restaurants. And that's the benefit. That's the new revolution in business as well as for personal use.
Some of the newer buildings that are going up now also have these grow towers. There was a building that opened up on Boston Road in the Bronx in 2024, and they have a grow tower in that building. So, and many of the buildings that are advertising themselves as affordable housing are doing the grow towers either in the building or on the roof. And one was proposed to have a bee farm. It has not come to fruition yet, and I think that that's something that we need to look into. But they wanted to have a bee farm to have, excuse me, bee plants that will attract the bees and beehives so that they can produce locally grown, locally produced honey by the bees.
Nice.
Yeah.
If I may also add, going back to the history of the gardens in the Bronx, when the Bronx was so-called burning down, a lot of our people came together to fight back against the neglect and the fraud and the abuse to the Bronx by taking over vacant land and clearing the land from the garbage and bricks and things of this nature, and created some of the first gardens that started the revolution of the Bronx coming back. Okay? Because we took nothing and made something. When the city forgot about us or turned it back against us, we came to each other and said, we all we got. And we worked towards developing a new future and teaching the youth the value and the importance of community and coming together for such a, an event. My family had several gardens, community gardens in the Bronx where I grew up at, and I saw the value and I benefit from those gardens. And in many gardens, not only in my old neighborhood, but throughout the Bronx, I saw where that was the hub of the community. It was a place where the elders held council. And back in the 70s and 80s, when there was, gang wars or whatever, they had to go to the elders, to negotiate peace treaties, right? Stop the violence and whatnot. We also had weddings there in the garden. We had christenings in the garden. It was the heartbeat of the community. And this is when we had all the abandoned buildings. It was the oasis in the urban desert. And so the value of those gardens resonate to this day and is, I would say, the blueprint for us now to deal with this current crisis.
I think that this is time for us to put in a plug for the community gardens, because as you said, there are many, many, many community gardens. And I know one on 171st Street and Washington Avenue, between Washington and Park Avenue, that is in dire need of volunteers. The Washington, it's being maintained by one person primarily, but as the gardens were started in the 70s and 80s, those people who started the gardens are very much in need of help. So if you have a youth group, take that youth group over to the garden, the nearest garden. Just take a walk around your neighborhood and see where the garden is, and ask, well, can I bring my youth in to help out? Can I help out? Because as Amjad is saying, we are our own best resilient force. So if we are an active, resilient force, there is nothing that can stop us. It's time for a break right now to remember that you are listening to New York and Beyond, brought to you by the WEBT Emergency Preparedness Team of WHCR 90.3 FM. um, every Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And we'll be right back with more from Amjad.
Thank you. Listen to WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Stay tuned.
I'm gonna take myself a piece of sunshine and paint it all over my sky, yeah. Be no rain, be no rain. I'm gonna take the song from every bird and make them sing it just for me, yeah. Birds got something to teach us all about being free, yeah. Be no rain, be no rain. And I think I'll call it morning from now on. Why should I survive on sadness and tell myself I've got to be alone? Why should I subscribe to this world's madness, knowing that I've got to live on? Knowing that I've got to live on. Knowing that I've got to live on. Yeah, I think I'll call it morning from now on. I'm gonna take myself a piece of sunshine and paint it all over my sky, yeah. Be no rain, be no rain. I'm gonna take the song from every bird and make them sing it just for me, yeah. 'Cause why should I hang my head? Why should I let tears fall from my eyes when I've seen everything there is to see? And I know that there ain't no sense in crying. I know there ain't no sense in crying. Yeah, I think I'll call it morning from now on, yeah. I'll call it morning from now on, yeah. 'Cause there ain't gonna be no rain, be no rain, be no rain, be no rain from now on, yeah.
We just want to remind you that you are listening to New York and Beyond, WHCR 90.3 FM, Harlem Community Radio. The Voice of Harlem is committed to informing, educating, and empowering the Harlem community and beyond through local programming and initiatives like the WEBT WHCR emergency broadcast. We are going to continue with our guest Amjad, who's going to continue to talk to us about his experience and about what's happening today. Amjad, we've spoke about key roles and contributions and highlighted the values of network and community awareness of change. Talk to us about a feeling of being overwhelmed and our the skill sets that we need in a crisis.
Yeah, so being overwhelmed, is what do you call it? The natural fight or flight response. right? That we all go through.
Yes, flight or fight.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, building up our knowledge base, right? We're right with right knowledge, right? And practicing learning new skill sets will help minimize or bring down that feeling of fight or flight, right? And being part of a network, okay, where you can work with like-minded people to get the emotional support that you will need, and know that you're not alone during a crisis. It can be scary for those of us who might be older and going through a crisis, and we don't have family. We have a small circle of friends, if any, right? And we'll feel isolated. So how do you combat that? By getting engaged, talking to your neighbors, finding out if there's a co-ed in your community, or do you still attend a church, mosque, or temple? What are they doing there that can, bridge that gap and lift up your spirits, right? But the thing we also have to remember, we can't sit around and wait for somebody. Ain't nobody coming out the sky to come save you. God sent you, right? And we have to understand that we're going to get through this if we engage with a purpose, being not only self-sufficient but proactive. This is a full contact sport. You have to get engaged in order to reap the reward. And in this case, having that or getting that connection, whatever age level we're at, is critical, and for us to be able to get through this. Now, with the government shutdown, we don't know how long it will be moving forward, but that we cannot let that depress us or put us in a state of mind that is doom and gloom. No, we're fighters. We came this far, and we're going to continue fighting, right, to make things better, locally, communal wise, as well as on a national basis.
We can also in our buildings, if there's a tenant association,
correct,
attend your tenant association for information. They have a wealth of information. If there's if you live in NYCHA buildings, there's also a senior citizen center in those NYCHA buildings, and there in most of our communities there are senior citizen center, with which the employees of that those centers have information. They bring in programs to talk to you and discuss with you on activity. They take you out on shopping activities. Perhaps not now. I hope not, at least. But they assist you in planning recipes, as well as, of course, feeding breakfast and lunch. And they have exercise programs. They have computer stations where you can go to YouTube University. I'm going to start singing that. I'm going to make a song about YouTube University.
Yeah, okay. It's helped me in many different ways, I must admit.
I'm sure about this. Can you give us one example of something you got from YouTube University?
Oh man, I give you about 20 of them, to be honest with you. Well, one of the things that, when we talk about communications, and I asked myself that question: if my cell phone goes down, I got rid of my landline a long time ago, but if cell phone goes down, how else will I be able to communicate? If systems go down. And I learned about short and long wave radios, handheld, right, satellite radios, right, and checked out the different brand names of the the latest models. The pros and cons of those. They have all kind of reviews on there. So it can help you build your knowledge base. So when you go to purchase, you're confident that you're making a good purchase of value for yourself, right? Learn about the
Right.
different antennas, for radio, right? And having a backup to the backup, because you never know. You know what I mean? And
That's important.
it doesn't have to break your pocket. That's the other thing. So and learning radio etiquette, right? How to talk
Yes.
to get your message across for, to bring in logistics or to get, emergency support for yourself. What if you're a homebound person and you don't have no, family that you call on, and the elevators go out for blackout? What do? Having that radio, being a part of the network, you can call in for assistance, and somebody can help bring your medication, oxygen, or whatever the case that you may need. Even if they have to call EMS or fire department to help bring you down the stairs to go to a doctor's appointment.
They are
Having,
willing to do that because
yes,
that's what that network is about.
Yeah,
correct.
let me just jump in there, Amjad, because you're hitting one of the sweet spots that we do here at WEBT. We have a number of community groups around both the Bronx and Harlem, and most recently in Brooklyn, where we're creating radio groups within developments, where folks have walkie-talkies, both that work on the internet and also the mobile radios that go radio to radio, so you don't need any network. So
Mm.
when everything goes down, those radios still work. But we've started doing a whole wellness check, weekly radio checks, and we're doing building reports in developments where folks are reporting to each other about elevator heat and hot water on a daily basis in the morning and evening. Now, this is something that any resident group can get together. You can start this in your own building. Like Amjad said, there's so much research available about some of the devices. You can also contact us at whcrebt.org. Go online, check us out, send us an email, and we will help you get started creating a radio group in your community, in your development. It's so important that we're able to communicate and talk with each other separate and apart from the major media, separate and apart from whether or not the internet is working or not. We need to have our own way to communicate, our own way to connect with each other, and need to be able to control the information flow about what's going on in our communities.
Yes, indeed. And I would also, in that same respect, I would highly recommend people to go to the New York City Emergency Management website, sign up for their newsletter so that you know what's going on regarding emergency preparedness, weather alerts, etc. Right? And NISM, that's their acronym for short, also have classes and workshops that you as a community group can, take advantage of to learn about how to build a gold bag, the importance of having a plan in case of emergency. What if we got an alert that said we need to evacuate within the hour? Do you have a bag in place with the basic supplies you need to get through 48 to 72 hours? Do you have a plan to where to go for yourself or to meet up with your family in an event like that? I mean, these are realities that we have to, really take in consideration. It can happen. The world is changing. The levels of security is changing, right? So you have to live in that, in reality, but not in fear, but in a knowing that you can, get through this if you have a plan. And if you have certain supplies in place. What about your medication? Right? Do you have a go bag for your medication? Things of that nature, right? And backup documents. Those questions can be answered from many of the PDFs that NISM has available for you to download so that you can make a, plan, kit and whatnot. And you don't have to break your bank. Again, a lot of times you can find a lot of things you need from the 99-cent store, right? Or Target or what have you, right? Work within your budget, right? and you don't get caught up in the rush to the store where everybody's cleaning stuff out. If you have your stuff in advance, you ain't got to worry about that.
Let us not forget about our pets.
Yes.
Many of us have a dog, cat, or 2 dogs or 2 cats. Each pet needs its own go bag. Plan where you can go with your pet if you have to leave your place of domicile, because not every place that you can go will accept a pet. So you might need to shelter in place, but always be prepared for an emergency for the pet, and be prepared not to leave that pet out on the street, out in the community, without any guidance or connection to you, because that's when we will have difficulty. If we have X number of pets running up and down the street looking for you to feed them, and you don't know what to feed them, and you might not have the food to feed them. So we want to make sure that you know what to do with your pets. And for example, and especially if you have a dog, make sure that your dog is socialized so they can get along with other dogs. In the shelter system, I'm talking disaster shelter system. I'm not talking about the shelters that we know about right now. I'm talking about in a disaster where people have to leave their homes to go to a shelter. There will be shelter space for the pets and the animals, and the owner of the animal, will be able to stay with the animal, but you still would do well to bring a go bag for that, because your animal, your pet, your dog, your cat, your other animal, if there is another kind of animal there, is used to a certain kind of food, needs a water container, needs a food container. So apart from everybody else's pet. So you need to be aware of those kinds of things.
Yeah, and even if we live in apartments, condos, or things of that nature, it would also be good to have a solar power generator to help keep your refrigerator going and other necessities in case of a blackout. Right? And the prices of those vary, but they're coming down to be more affordable. And you can just hang your solar panels right at your window and catch that sunlight to recharge your battery whenever you should need it. So there's a lot of creative preparedness items that you can tap into that it will be good in case of emergency. And I'll be honest with you, in case of those old school religious tall candles, in case of a blackout, they still come in handy, to have a couple of cases of those. Go to your local Botanica, you know what I mean? Get a good deal. And, you have another lighting source and solar powered lanterns, right? That's another option. Okay. Aside from that, I would, highly recommend learning more about COAS and other community organizations where you can come together to learn a lot of these things and be a part of the different community events and exercises to run drills, right? And when I say drills, meaning that, say for instance, there's a thing called tabletop exercises where you go over different scenarios and how would your community respond. Your organization or tenant association will respond to those emergencies. A building fire, right? Or that recent collapse in NYCHA, that unfortunate collapse. Thank God no one got, hurt or anything. But how do we go about to respond to such a situation like that? And being active at your local community board and putting pressure on those leaderships to make sure that there are more resources in the community to address these issues, so you don't have to wait around for them to keep, to come back at a later date promising you something and you don't see no change or no update. Mm-hmm. So this is, again, a full contact sport on many different levels. We should get engaged based upon our level of interest, based upon our level of capability, because a lot of us busy schedules or whatnot. But if you're retired, you're looking for something to do, this is, I highly recommend, you consider, because it's of great value to you as well as to community.
That's
one
so
of the things that
I just want to interject. Mm-hmm. I know Joetta knows this. One of the little sayings, and you too, probably, Amjad. One of the sayings that we have in community in emergency preparedness is the whole yo-yo concept, where folks are not coming to help you and you're on your own, yo-yo. But that said, your community is your biggest strength. That's where you can go for help. And you don't wait until the emergency, but like Amjad said, you need to get engaged now. If you're not already, get engaged now with your church, with your mosque, with your tenant association, with your local community center. Get engaged, get involved, and not just sitting around playing bingo, but talking about what's going on and working to create plans and scenarios as to what we're going to do if there's an emergency. Do we have a plan to communicate? Is this someplace that we can come to in an emergency if we have to leave our homes? Those kinds of things, if we can connect with each other in our communities and make community plans, that is really, I think, our biggest strength.
One of the things that I learned from the Mott Haven disaster, where the side of the building fell, and again, we pray that no one got hurt in that disaster, is that people had been complaining about the gas odor. Mm. When we have a gas odor, it is our duty as citizens to call 311 911. And if no one comes to see about that within minutes or within a short period of time, that is a good point to organize everybody within your reach, everybody on your floor, everybody in the building, to make a stream of calls to 311 911 to report the incident, and keep it up until somebody comes out there to see what that odor is about. And that is one way of preventing these things. That frequently we say, well, neighbor 2 doors down called, so I don't have to call. Yes, neighbor 2 doors down called, but yes, I have to call, because, as we say, the squeaky wheel gets the attention. If we leave it up to neighbor down the hall, neighbor on the next floor, neighbor over there, then nothing gets done, because they're getting these random calls. Oh, that's not enough for us to respond. But if they have a whole stream of 911 calls, 311 calls, and I have seen situations right on my block where at the time that the half of the precinct was there, or 3 or 4 fire engines were there, and they say, yeah, we got 10 calls. So it takes those 10 calls. It might take 20 calls. It might take 25 calls. But again, that's the amount of calls that you have to make, especially in our neighborhoods.
Yes, and to that point, 311, anytime you make a complaint, right, whether it's online or you call, once they get 3 or more in a particular location, that raises up the threat level or the emergency level, right? So the more they get a cluster in that particular area, then all eyes on. 3 or more. I think it's 3 or more or 5 or more. Then say, hey, we got a problem here. Start, sending resources or, response to this location. So this is something that we have to be mindful of, and don't feel frustrated or why I got to call this, that, and the other. It's to save lives and probably your own. Let's
That's
get real. And if I also would like to share is that going back to preparedness, right? You can get gas masks online, purchase gas masks or gas hoods, smoke hoods, okay, that can save your life in case of emergency to keep in your house in your first aid kit, right? If you got a strong smell, I recommend you grab your go bag, your gas mask or your gas hood, and you start exiting, right? And you can call for assistance when you outside safe, because you don't know what might go down. And that's something that we need to take into consideration. Having methods of escape or evasion during an emergency, and having flashlights, right? Say, for instance, the lights go out in the building, you got to go down the staircase. It's pitch black, especially if you're in night shift. You know how scary that is. You know what I mean? And you might, so you want to get you some floodlights or whatever so that you can light the way, not only for yourself. It might be on people walking down the dark, scared of what's coming next, right? They see the light on, it lessens the fear level and the chaotic, response. So, and you can get you, a construction helmet at Home Depot with the light on it to help you, or get you a regular camping headlamp. Okay. Keep that in your kit. There's a lot of different things. I don't want to go too far over, but we can talk about this forever.
Yeah, Joetta, we just got about a minute left if you want to wrap up with our guests for final comments.
Okay, I just want to say that most recently, NYPD has started what they call Q teams. These are quality of life teams. You call 311 with the quality of life issue, and as Amjad said, once they get 3 to 5 quality of life calls, they're right there. They're right there. And Amjad, we're going to give you the last 30 seconds.
But again, thank you for for the invitation and fellowship with you all today, and to talk about this most important topic for the community. And I encourage people, again, be proactive and seek out information, right knowledge, so that you can build a skill set and the resources you need to get through, various emergencies and to become more resilient and get to know your neighbor. There's a time in the past where I grew up, we can leave our apartment doors open in the tenement, and the kids can run back and forth and eat at different people's table, and everybody knew each other. Now, I don't know if that's going to come back or not, but the point being, get to know your neighbor, make new friends, right? And learn let's bring back that spirit of community, because we living in the digital age and it's isolating people, on purpose, for control.
On purpose.
That's okay. Right.
So we have to bring back what we know. The ancestors are watching, they with us, and they trying to point us in the right direction. How do you know? Because the pressure is on, and you ain't got nowhere else to go. So you got to deal with this right here.
That's right.
All right, Amjad. Again, this is the first appearance of Amjad, and you're going to get to know him as that family friend. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Peace and blessings. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. You've been listening to New York and Beyond, brought to you by WEBT. This is WHCR 90.3 FM. Stay tuned. Our show is on every Wednesday, 8 to 9 a.m. Tune in. Thanks. Good night. Or I should say, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay.